Oh, hi there. Hi, I'm Mike Montgomery, and today we're going to install the Simrad GO9 Fishfinder chart plotter combo with the total scan transducer on my Arima Sea Ranger boat. We like the GO9 because, like many of you, I'm from the iPhone generation and really love using a plug-and-play touchscreen app-based functionality. Most important though is that the GO9 will grow with my boating needs. Of course, it's my primary navigation, my Fishfinder, but will also support autopilot, radar, music, and many other functions that I might encounter or need down the road. Besides your fancy new electronics, here are the tools you're going to need to complete this installation. Most important are the sealants. We have 3M silicone sealant for above the waterline, Fast Cure 4000 for the transducer and below the waterline. We also bought this bulkhead wire cap to help with some of running of the wires. We have all of the electrical and terminal connectors, wire strippers, extra bolts, zip ties, drill and bits, and then a few extra tools from the shipyard toolkit. While you're doing work, you're gonna get messy, so we have some gloves, some shop rags, paper towels. It is important to plan everything before you actually start the installation. This, my friends, is the moment of truth where I find out if I bought the right size display. I think 9-inch is perfect for this boat. Significantly bigger than my old Hummingbird, and I think I like it right here where I still have room on the dash. I can still see my RPM gauge. This is perfect. Step one is to remove my old Hummingbird display. Couple quick tips when you uninstall your old electronics. One, on this boat, there's already a hole drilled back here where the cables come through the helm. We're gonna use that again for the new installation. Two, you can use your old transducer cable to help thread the new cable all the way through the boat. Before drilling, it's always best to take the display off. The last thing connecting the old Hummingbird are the two power cables. We've got the skinny black and the skinny red. We're gonna go ahead and wiggle them off the fuse box. Done. Here's the old transducer cable that's running down the boat. We're gonna have to cut off all the existing zip ties and take that off as well. The magic to getting the crystal clear images on the display is the proper installation of the transducer. We're gonna install the transducer on the starboard or right-hand side of the boat because the prop spins this way and we wanna be on the downward side of the prop wash. Before we actually start drilling into the boat, we're gonna assemble the few pieces of the transducer together. I've got 6 bolts, 6 washers here, and we're gonna just go ahead and connect everything together. Choose between red or blue plastic here. Cable end of the transducer matches this end of the plastic bracket. I'm finding it's easier to put the washer on the screw before trying to thread it in. So now we're on the last screw. Make sure everything's nice and tight. And all done. It's really important that the bottom of the transducer sit about 1/8 of an inch below the hull of the boat. That's why we're going to put this all together so we can know exactly where we need to drill holes to mount the transducer. Notice that we already have the nut secured in the hex area, and then we're going to thread the bolt all the way through. I've got the rubber washer, then a stainless washer. Now I'm able to get this really secure because I've got that rubber washer all done. Be patient as you figure out where you're going to drill holes in your boat, because if you're like me, you're probably a little scared to drill into your boat. A couple things to keep in mind. We want the transducer surface to be about 1/8 of an inch below the hull of the boat. We also need to drill 3 holes, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom in a triangular pattern, and we want to make sure that the transducer is level to the water, not necessarily following the pattern of the hull of the boat. If it's at an angle, this will mess up the side scan capability. So we're gonna try to find the perfect spot that's 1/8 of an inch below the hull and parallel to the waterline, or maybe slightly down. Also, check underneath the boat to make sure there's no strakes, other transducers, or any obstruction that can cause turbulence in the water and mess with your transducer. Maybe have a second set of eyes and hands here to help you put pencil marks. This is the most important part of the installation. Now you see in cooking shows why they have so much stuff pre-cooked. A good tip is to measure the length of the bit to the fastener you're going to screw in. Notice we've got just about 1 millimeter or 2 more fastener. That's exactly what we want. Remember that every boat is different. Different materials can be behind the fiberglass of the transom, so you want to consult with your boat manufacturer or the owner's manual and really know what you're going to drill into. We just drilled 1 hole, and we really suggest that before you drill the second 2 holes, you go ahead and put the fastener through the bottom one. That way we can still wiggle it around and really make sure everything's still level. Glad we got this done. We ran into some problems with this installation. We're going to tell you what we've learned in this process. 1, the instructions say to use a 1/8 drill bit. We ended up using the next size up to really bore out a good pivot hole for the fasteners. 2, we lubed up the fasteners with some wax so that we could reduce the friction as we were tightening in the fasteners. 3, we used a hand screwdriver instead of using the drill. This fiberglass was very thick and really hard to go through. Once we got the fasteners to where we thought we could do the final job, we took some of the 3M sealant, put it in the holes, put it around the holes. The goal is that the sealant will coat the whole bolt all the way up until the nut is all the way through, and hand tighten everything in. So now you're looking at the finished product. So I'm reassembling the transducer. Make sure that you have the cable going up and through. It'll sit in that rubber. Threading the bolt through. I'm not going to tighten it all the way. I'm going to just kind of snug it up, and then we're going to make sure that that angle of the transducer is the right angle. So we've got it kind of in an area where we can look to see. And those are my 2 options right there. That's a little bit down. That's the spot. Okay, she's on there. Because modern transducers have so much more power and technology packed into them, the new normal is that the wire is much thicker and the connector is up to 1 inch in diameter. This is really important to think about because you cannot cut the connector off of the cable when you run it through the boat. So we're going to check all along the installation here to make sure that this connector can fit without drilling, and if it doesn't fit, we may have to drill some holes. Looks like we're going to have a clear path without drilling to run the cable all the way to the fuse box and out to the display. Ladies and gentlemen, the transducer is through the bulkhead. Final step is bringing it through to where the display unit will go. So we want just enough cable exposed to connect to the display unit. I've got some excess behind me. We'll go ahead and tie and clean all that up. Finalizing the transducer installation by using cable ties to make everything clean and pretty. There's my nephew to help me get his small fingers in there. Small tip, take the sharp side of the zip tie, push it down to the bottom so nobody gets cut. So here's all the extra cable or excess cable we have. We'll go ahead and tuck it back in here. All good. We're going to use this West Marine cable gland, which essentially will create kind of a watertight seal for where the hole is here in the dash of the boat. I've got this rubber piece, and I'm going to use the 3 holes as guides to drill. You want to be cognizant of where you drill because this is supposed to create some sort of water seal, so you want to have the 1 bolt up at top, 2 at the bottom, much like that. The next thing to think about is power. We're going to use female quick connectors to connect to this fuse box that was already installed on this boat. Your boat may connect directly to the battery. The GO9 package comes with a fuse to help with that. I've taken a couple female quick connectors out of the West Marine electrical terminal set, and I'm going to crimp them onto the red and black wires. Quick connectors are small and always fall at the most inopportune time. So a pro tip we have is to put the quick connector into the crimper first, then insert the wire and give it a good squeeze. This way you won't drop things as much. Giving it a tug to test to make sure it's secure. Okay, now I got to do the red wire. Once again, I'm going to stage it in the crimper, push it all the way in, give it a good hard squeeze, tug it to make sure it's secure. I'm now going to run the power cable through the wire gland. There's that little lip there. Okay, got it. I got everything kind of sized up. I've got my 2 cables coming out the bottom. There's a little pressure here, so I'm gonna get in there, hand tighten it. Coming along nicely now. And we're done. The Simrad pack came with a 5 amp fuse, so we're gonna go ahead and replace my old 1 amp with this 5 amp. We're also going to plug the black wire or negative wire into the negative side of the fuse box and the positive side or red side to the positive side of the fuse box.
Got it.
Before I drill 4 more holes to mount the bracket here, I really want to make sure it's in the correct location. At the beginning we said we didn't want to get in the way of the RPM gauge. Now as I look closer, I want to make sure that this quick release over here is not too close to the right hand side so I can still get my hand in here. So we think our location is to the front, not so far over. So this is where we're gonna put it. I'm gonna use the pencil and just mark where I can drill. I've checked down below deck to make sure that when I drill, I'm not drilling through any kind of steering, VHF, or any other important component. We have nothing underneath this dash here. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw in the first screw and then use the actual bracket as the guide for everything else. Similar to what we did on the transducer, I'm gonna take this silicone and get it into the hole. Now that there's silicone in the holes, we can screw the mounting bracket in place. He's on there. We're gonna go ahead and connect the power and transducer cables now. A couple things to think about. Really be careful with the pins. They're very sensitive and can break easily. We've made it this far. We do not wanna hit any roadblocks now. Power and transducer are connected. Let's get this thing mounted. Display unit is installed. And we're done. Now we're gonna turn it on and just make sure it works. Woohoo! That's a good sign. We're stoked that everything powered up. The Simrad GO9 looks ready to go. It's been a long, hot day. Now we're gonna go celebrate with a sunset cruise. Thank you for watching the installation of the GO9. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If there's any other how-to videos or West Advisors you'd like to see, please let us know in the comments. We'll see you on the water.